Man, Mark, I really, really liked you a lot. Welcome to Republican Talks, everybody. I am your host, Kenneth Glenn. And today I'm going to be talking to you about Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill, he's the guy who played Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars movies. He also played the Joker in the Batman animated series. He voiced the Joker. He didn't play the Joker. And here I'm just going to talk about him today. Because Mark Hamill, for I don't know how long he's been doing this, but I've noticed, he's probably been doing it for longer than I've noticed, but I have been noticing recently that he posts a lot about politics now. How he supports Biden and stuff. Which is fine. If you support Biden, that's your choice. If you like Biden, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But what I have an issue with is when you take people who you don't agree with and then you dog them out as if they're less than you or if they're worse than you. I do have an issue with that. Mark Hamill had a tweet the other day. He was replying to what Kayleigh McEnany said. Kayleigh McEnany said he was talking about the Capitol. This was what she said about that. This is the reply to Kayleigh McEnany. The people who violently attacked the Capitol are the opposite of what this administration stood for. Pretty good. I agree with that because because Trump's administration has mostly been pretty good, pretty peaceful, pretty reasonable people over there that Trump and people who work with Trump do. He's been a fairly peaceful politician for most of his run. I think so. And then this is what Mark Hamill comes up with. Oh, please. Those who violently besieged our Capitol are everything this administration stood for. Promoted on his social media for months. Supported in person on... Okay. I'm trying to read his tweet and I don't know if I'm understanding it that well or if he just misspoke. But he says, supported in person on with an on-site speech. Supported in person with an on-site speech. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. Everything, in all caps, by the way. Everything, in all caps. Here we go. Everything he has ever said, or done, since coming down the escalator, has been leading up to this. Now I'm going to break down the tweet from piece by piece. And I'm just going to break it down and pretty much tell you what it means to me. And why it's wrong. Because I wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't wrong. So he goes, oh please, which is fine, if you disagree. Those who violently besieged our Capitol are everything this administration stood for. Yes, they did violently besiege our Capitol. I agree with that. That was correct. But saying that they are everything that this administration stands for is just outright insanity. Okay? It's outright insanity because if you really think about it, for the past 8 months now, 9 months, the left has been doing more attacks on Trump supporters than Trump supporters have on other people. Not saying that Trump supporters don't attack others, but they're a poor example of what our administration stands for, or what Trump's administration stands for, excuse me. For Mark Hamill to come up with this and say that this is everything that they stand for is just ridiculous because Trump's administration does not stand for violence. It's been actually a very peaceful administration. And for him to say that after the left has been rioting and killing cops for the past 8 months now, I think there's like 200 cops that died this year because of the BLM protests or riots. Sorry, they're not protests. I just hate how he says that this is everything this administration stands for. Promoted on his social media for months. Supported in person on with an on-site speech. I don't understand what that necessarily means. But he said that he's been promoting this for months on his social media, which I don't think he necessarily has. He hasn't been promoting to riot and stuff like that. Everything he has ever said or done since coming down the escalator has been leading up to this. Now, here's the biggest part, in my opinion. Like, here's the worst part of his tweet. Everything he has ever done, ever said, and or done since coming down the escalator has been leading up to this. What do you mean everything he has done led up to this? You're going to tell me, look me into the eyes and tell me that every single thing that Donald Trump has done ever since stepping into office led up to riots? Now, if you think that some of the stuff he done that led up to riots, I mean, fine, sure. But he's saying that every little thing that Donald Trump has done led up to riots, which is an outright ridiculous claim, in my opinion. I'll agree with you if you were going to say, like, Donald Trump has been the best president, or he like talks kind of odd when he like goes off at people. Like, I would agree with that. But for you to say that every little thing that he's done led up to this is ridiculous. You're going to tell me that the lowest unemployment rates and the best economy we've ever had, ever, in American history, led up to those riots? You're telling me that Trump bringing in 2 million immigrants into this country led up to those riots? You're telling me that fixing the detention centers down by the border led up to those riots? You're telling me that building 500 miles of a wall started this violence, led up to this violence? You're telling me that allowing women to have feminine hygiene products in prison led up to doing this? Because if you ask me, no, it didn't. I don't know what he's talking about. He's acting like Donald Trump was like telling people to do this, but he didn't. And if you want to talk about his tweet when he said like storm the Capitol and all that, I have both of his tweets right here because Mark Zuckerberg was a little slow on deleting them. So this is the first tweet that happened before the storm the Capitol thing. This is what happened before the whole everyone went to the Capitol and made a huge mess and everything. And I'm gonna be honest, there was good people in that crowd. There were good people in that crowd of the rioters. There are good people in that crowd, like BLM. There's a lot of good people in those BLM protests, but the rioters are bad. The only difference is that most of the BLM were riots and not protests, where the storm the Capitol was more kind of half and half. Here's what Donald Trump said in his tweet. I am asking everyone that at the U.S. Capitol, to remain peaceful. No violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect our great men and women in blue. Thank you. So that's Donald Trump's first tweet. That got taken down like a day or something like that. And then tweet 2, this is right after the whole entire chaos broke loose. This is after that. This is not the whole tweet. The whole tweet was telling people that he basically says, before this part, he says that this is what happens when you take away an election that we deserve and blah, blah, blah. Which I agree with a lot of his points there. I mean, this election was kind of stolen. There is voter fraud. I don't care what you think. It's very simple to see the voter fraud. It's just whether if you ignore it or not. But this is the end of his tweet the second tweet that I saw. Go home with love and peace. Remember this day forever. So he's basically telling people like to calm down, stop being violent, stop killing people. Which by the way, a bunch of people died during this riot, and a young woman died in this riot. I don't think she necessarily did anything wrong, but I'm telling you right now, if someone was shot in a BLM protest by a cop, like a woman was shot in this riot by a cop, I'm telling you right now, there'd be so much outrage over it. But since the woman who was shot was a Trump supporter and a pro-cop person, she's bad and nobody cares. But anyways, what do you guys think? I hope you like the video, guys. Please leave a comment, subscribe for more. I'm out. See you guys later. And if Mark Hamill, if you're watching this, I just want to know, like, why do you just not like Trump supporters and what we stand for? I just don't understand where your hatred comes from. I just don't understand. So if you could tell me, go ahead. I doubt he'd watch this video, though. All right. See you guys.
Hey, Donald Trump is your president, and if you like it or not.